Welcome back to Week 5 of Inside Raider Nation with Coach John Lindsey. As always, I'm your host, Mike Prater, and again with me today, Coach John Lindsey. Thanks for being here, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's get right to it, Coach. Talk a little bit about the South Paulding game. Now, we know that in the state of Georgia, it's kind of hard to go undefeated for a whole season. We would hope to go undefeated, but you know, eventually this show was probably going to have to happen at some point. And let's talk a little bit about the South game. South came into the game, they were a little larger than I looked at on film. They were pretty big boys and pretty athletic. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in that South game, particularly are things that have cost us repeatedly during the season: turnovers, mistakes. The first play right off the get-go, we pop off, a 15-yard run and gets called back by holding. It kind of set the tempo for what was going to happen in that game, it seems like.
It did. We never got in rhythm. Offensively, we never really found our rhythm. And when that happens, you know, you're in trouble. And that's kind of what happened. We turned the ball over a couple of key times and, you know, just mistakes. And it was, you know, self-inflicted mistakes that really killed us in that game. Every time we'd get something started, we'd get, you know, an illegal formation and, you know, illegal procedure. And those just penalties just killed us. And it drives me crazy as a coach because I can live with playing penalties, but those kind of penalties are things that, to me, it's a little bit of mental focus. It's a lot of mental focus, honestly. And those kind of mistakes drive me crazy, and I want to get those cleaned up. I felt like we've done a better job of that, you know, focusing on that since that game.
Right. And, you know, like I said, the things kind of came home to roost on us. We've been struggling with them ever since Walton, cleaned them up a little bit, but then we get up against a really good team, and you can't beat yourself on the field against a good team.
Well, after North, if you noticed, you know, Walton game was ugly. That was our scrimmage. And then we cleaned up some for the Altoona game, and I felt like the North game was a little cleaner. And then we had the off week, and we had good practices that off week. Just you lose that little bit of that mojo that you got going on, you know, during that off week. So we never really got in routine, and you could see it. Our rhythm was really off.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of opportunities where we were down inside the opponent's 10-yard line. I believe 2 times we were down in there. One got called back on a touchdown, got called back on a penalty, and I think a penalty kept us from sticking it in the next time, so it affected us even down in the red zone. You know, their filming, you could kind of feel also the energy was a little bit different in that game. You know, you were talking about North and Altoona, and you could have lit a match to this place and would have exploded in those games. But it seemed a little bit, the energy wasn't quite there at South. Would you attribute that to the bye week?
You know, I really don't know. I haven't been here with these kids long enough to know. I know it wasn't the same, and that was very disappointing. And, you know, I think as a coaches, we were up for the game, excited for the game, had a great plan, but it just seemed like the kids were a little off, and I can't really tell you why. But, you know, it wasn't the same atmosphere for us.
Right. Even with the fans, normally I go by the black hole squad with my camera from the sidelines, and as I walk by and put that camera up, they just erupt and go crazy. And at South, it just seemed we just seemed kind of off in the South game, you know. Well, we're going to do like we always do. South game's over. We're going to put that behind us. We want to quickly put that one behind us and start moving on to next week. Let's talk a little bit about some injury updates. Do we have any updates on some of the injuries going on, some of the guys we may be missing going into Friday night?
Well, Sean Shealy practiced today for the first time. He won't be back this Friday night, but he's starting to work back in again. We lost Holden Thompson's out for a few weeks with a broken ankle. So, you know, depth's becoming an issue, like we talked about. You know, we don't have a lot of depth, and we're finding some guys that possibly can play a little both ways for us and get us through the next few weeks, and you know, just trying to build depth within our team. We don't have a lot, and we got to find it. We got to find a way. Hopefully, that next man will step up and be ready to go.
Right, man. Now, we're not going to be doing any senior interviews this week since it's fall break. The kids aren't around by the time we come to do Inside Raider Nation, so we're not going to do any senior interviews this week. The bye week, give me your feelings on the bye week so far. Do you think it's going to be good for us going into New Manchester? You kind of up in the air, not sure what the result's going to be from the bye?
Well, I think after the way we played with South and the way the game turned out, we kind of came back that next week with a great focus. And I'm excited about that. I felt like our kids on Monday, we watched film, we talked about our team, where we're at, you know, what we need to improve on and where we're going. And felt like our kids kind of reset again. And, you know, it kind of gets the monkey off your back. You know, we were at 2-0 and now 2-1. So some of that I don't know what you say, that anxiousness, that nervousness is gone a little bit. You know, sometimes a loss is the best thing that's ever happened. You know, other teams I've coached, we've lost games and honestly gotten so much better afterwards. And I'm hoping that's what will carry over for us the rest of this year.
Yeah, and you see that even sometimes in the pros, that those teams that go the entire season without a loss and they get down to the very end, and then that's when they suffer
Yep.
their first loss.
Yep.
You know, they're not able to recover from it. Then the other teams that catch that loss earlier in the middle, they're able to take that loss and use it as a springboard for the rest of the season. So
Sure.
hopefully that'll be the result for us. The practice this week has been pretty good. The kids had good energy so far this week.
Yeah, you know, we got a double-edged sword this week of being a bye last week and then turn around and this week we're out of school. So, you know, a lot to overcome. But, you know, our kids have handled so far the first 2 days have been great. They you know, everything's been going really good for us and good practices even though we're out of school. And, you know, it's been going good for us and a lot of energy. I've seen more energy at practice. We've changed up some things about the way we're practicing, and I think we're finding out who we are at this point.
Okay. Now, we all became Altoona fans on Friday night, right? That was a big bonus for us that Altoona was able to pull it out and win against South Paulding. That makes them 3-1. South Paulding's now 3-1, and we'll be 2-1, and hopefully after Friday 3-1. There's only 2 teams that are undefeated, though, still left in the region. That's Alexander, and then we face the other one, New Manchester, on Friday night. Can you talk a little bit about New Manchester and what we're looking at going into that game?
New Manchester's scary to watch on film. They've got some playmakers. Quarterback is man, he's a dual threat kid. You know, got a running back that's real well. They look to have some good size. You know, also and run around well. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think they're the up and coming team in our region. That, you know, it's one of those teams you look at and you go, man, you know, they're going to be good in a few years when the school opened up. Well, that few years is here now, and they're a quality football team, and I'm glad we're playing them at home. I'm really glad we're playing them at home, and that they're going to be tough.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I watched a little bit of the film also, and that the quarterback number 9, he's got offers already from several D1 schools, if I'm not mistaken. The guy I watched Hiram blitz him, and they'd have 4 people back there, and not a single person would lay a finger on him. He would just run around, wait for the receiver to come open, and fling it down the field. Do you have any specific plans in place to kind of try to contain that?
Best we can. Best we can. You know, we're going to do what we do. I mean, you know, we're obviously, we've talked about him some, but it comes down to, again, it's blocking and tackling. That's what football's all about. When we get back there with him, you know, we've got to be able to put pressure on him. We can't be scared of him because I'll be honest with you, he does a really good job keeping his eyes downfield. Even though he's getting pressure, he'll still find a way to hit an open receiver. And the receivers are good at scrambling. We've done scramble drill all week this week with him, you know, just running around. You know, just trying to find an open receiver or him keeping the ball running, and we tried to simulate that. But I'll be honest with you, it's hard to do that when you got a Division I quarterback as good as him. It's hard to give that look, but we've done the best we can, and you know, we'll have a good plan in place for our kids, and we do. We've had a good plan every week. I feel confident that this week will be no different.
Yeah, it's a lot like what teams used to struggle with Mike Vick. They try to simulate it in practice, have a guy back there running around, but you know, you can't just put a guy off the practice squad to be Mike Vick in the backfield. So, yeah, well, hopefully we can contain him this week. Now, you spoke about it, the game being at home. One of the things that I want to do is I want to call out to the Black Hole Squad. I want to call out for a blackout this week. And guys, we got to pick up the energy in the stadium. Let's pick up the energy from the fans. Us as a film crew from Inside Raider Nation, at the end of the week, at the end of the game Friday night, we're going to review everything, and we're going to nominate a Black Hole Fan of the Week. So that fan that goes out there in the black hole, makes the most noise, dresses up, gets the crowd the rowdiest, we're going to nominate you as Fan of the Week, and I'm going to interview you during Inside Raider Nation next week. So let's get them fired up. Well, Coach, not much else to say other than we got a big one coming up Friday night. I look forward to it. I know you're going to have the boys ready. Anything else you want to say to the fans out there?
No, just, you know, we're hoping a lot of energy in the stadium. First time being back at home, you know, since way back Alatoona. It seems like forever. And I'm glad to be at home. Like I said, glad to be playing New Manchester at home. Hopefully from this point on, we'll be in routine, which will help a lot. I think that'll give us, you know, that'll be playing into an advantage for us big time, is getting into routine and you know, playing at home.
Well, Coach, as always, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing the game Friday night. And that's Inside Raider Nation, Episode 5, and Black Hole Squad, be there, be loud.